Hello, we're the Jorgensens.
I'm Kira Jorgensen.
I'm Jeremy Jorgensen.
This is Merrick Jorgensen.
This is Merrick. I'm Sarah.
I'm Jaren. And I'm Liam.
Yes, we said your name.
We said Merrick. So when I was pregnant, we went in for our routine ultrasound, our very first ultrasound, and he was at work, and this was our fourth baby, so this was nothing new to us. So I just went into the ultrasound by myself, and we did the ultrasound, and the nurse just kind of kept giving me a look, and then they ushered me to a back room, and I knew that had never happened before. And so I was sitting in that back room, and I was waiting for quite a long time. And finally they came in, they said, the doctor will be in here pretty soon. He's just finishing up looking at your ultrasound results. I said, okay, and I still wasn't too worried. And then as the time went by, it had been about an hour, and I started thinking, well, someone in this office must be getting some really terrible news, and I'm just gonna sit here and wait for the doctor because I can't imagine what it would be like to be her. And right after that, the doctor came in and he looked at me and he said, okay, so we've been looking at this ultrasound, and I wanted to let you know that this nuchal translucency is at about 6 millimeters, and usually when it's that thick, it suggests that you test for Down syndrome because it's a marker for Down syndrome. I remember being in complete and utter shock and also not being surprised. Like there was something that just told me that something was going to be different this time around. We agreed that we would do the non-invasive prenatal testing, and so we did that blood test, and then we agreed with that test that he would get to find out the gender of the baby. And I got the call when the specialist called me to tell me the results of the prenatal test. And she just called and she had said, this is the genetic counselor, and I knew that as soon as she told me it was her and it wasn't a nurse calling, I knew what the results were going to be. And she told me to sit down, and I sat on this very couch, and she said, there's a 99% likelihood that your baby will have Down syndrome. I was completely devastated and lost and confused, and I sat on the couch and I rocked back and forth and I cried and I walked up and down the hallway, and I kept thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done to my family? What have I done to my children? What is their life gonna look like? And I was horrified, and I was scared and still excited, but then feeling guilty that I was having all these thoughts.
Obviously, I know what Down syndrome was. Growing up, I had known somebody with Down syndrome, and I was a little boy, and I didn't really know what to make of her. And I kind of, developed feelings of nervousness and being scared. And so as a teacher, my experience there was a young girl that I had taught with Down syndrome, and I always felt bad because she was the sweetest little girl, but I didn't know how to teach her. She had a lot of energy. She loved snuggling, and I don't know. It was just, I always felt like if there was one student in my entire teaching career that I was doing a disservice to, it was her. I was scared of her. I tried to avoid the snuggles, and I don't know. I felt weird, and I felt bad for feeling weird. And so to get the diagnosis, it was a bitter pill to swallow, but at the same time, I felt like it was meant to be. I think that it was kind of if that was my weakness, of course, this should be my test. And so we get the call. We talked about it a little bit at home, and but it was a matter of days before I left the country, and I was on the other side of the world. And kind of processing through all of these emotions and what this meant for the future, and you were at home with all the kids, and
in a first trimester of pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, not knowing what to do, and I felt, especially when he was gone and he was in Japan, and I was trying to process through this all by myself. I knew one person who had a child with Down syndrome, and she was the bigger kids preschool teacher, Jess Parsons. And we hadn't really talked to her since she was in preschool, but I had her on Facebook and I messaged her right away and I said, I don't know who to go to and I don't know what to say, but I just found out my baby has Down syndrome and I don't know what to do. Before she replied at all, she sent me the poem, Welcome to Holland, the little story. She talked about what a wonderful family we were going to be for this baby and that we would be amazed at how amazing he was. And then she set up a time to meet with us and we met at Starbucks and we sat down and I was ready to have kind of a heart-to-heart and a somber conversation about our kids have Down syndrome and for us. And she was so excited for us.
Which I think was amazing because
it was amazing.
Up until now, I mean, up until that point, everybody you tell gives you the I'm sorry look. If they don't flat out say I'm sorry, but just that look of I don't know, being apologetic. But yeah, and then we meet with Jess, and it was more than that. It was welcome to a club, welcome to this amazing place where amazing people get together and form a tribe.
And she had a welcome bag for us from GiGi's, and it had a calendar with pictures of little kids with Down syndrome, and it had books and a blankie and a onesie and all of these things that we got just because of who our baby was. And I don't know, it was so special. It felt amazing.
It was a turning point.
To be welcomed and to know at that point that everything was going to be okay. And so it was kind of right then that we got involved with GiGi's. And we had the superhero walk, and I was still pregnant. I was very pregnant. And we got involved with that, and we got a big group together, and we had friends just kind of come out of the woodwork that wanted to come support us and come do this walk with us. And it was 150 degrees outside, and he pushed me around the lake in a wheelchair because I was pregnant and I couldn't walk. And we were just involved with GiGi's pretty much the minute that Jess brought us that welcome bag, and we just knew that this was going to be the place for us.
But it really became a home away from home. For me, it gave me a sense of purpose, not only to be a better father, a better teacher now, but just to get involved. It kind of has become a place that's near and dear to my heart. And
I think one of the most amazing things for me to see is, obviously, we have our baby who we adore more than anything and surprises us every day. And he has made us better people, and he's made our kids better people. But to see the other big kids, the 3 big kids, go to GiGi's and play with other kids at GiGi's, or adults at GiGi's. Our daughter is best friends with Eric, and they'll dance together, and the kids get so excited to go to GiGi's, and they just don't see any differences, and everybody just is together, and I love it. I love who our children have become because of our baby and because of GiGi's and because of what we've now gotten involved in and who our big extended family is now. And we get to see all different kinds of people all the time, and it's not scary anymore. And
I think GiGi's really took something that we were very unsure about, very nervous about, frankly very scared about, and it turned it into something that we celebrate.
All the time.
All the time. I mean, yeah, I feel like our family has completely changed for the better because of who he is, because of the community that we are now surrounded by.
I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send the blood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come.